Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to everyone's favorite show about plastic surgery, health, and beauty. This is Nip Talk. First off, is Teflon Don getting his plastic surgery on? Plastic surgery rumors about Donald Trump. We're going to talk about that. Then, are motorcycles safe to ride? I'm going to weigh in on that. And finally, plastic surgery's cost, hidden and known. We're going to go over them all for you so you know all about it, and it's coming up right now.
Live from Lincoln Center in the heart of the Dallas Metroplex, this is Nip Talk. An honest and uncensored show about plastic surgery, health, beauty, and lifestyle with your host, plastic surgeon Dr. Bruce Hermann, and your co-host, entrepreneur and social media influencer Sarah Bennett. Now it's time to discuss the good, the bad, and the ugly of the topics everyone is talking about. It's time for Nip Talk.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Please hit that like and subscribe button. It helps us so much. I'm your host, plastic surgeon Dr. Bruce Hermann, and with me is not the amazing Sarah today because she's on vacation, but I got Robert Dressel.
What's up?
Entrepreneur, world famous guy here sitting in for Sarah. Actually, Robert and I are good friends. We've been friends forever, and I appreciate him coming in and helping me out.
I'm infamous, not famous.
Infamous.
So.
In the box we got, as always, Travis. What are you, buddy?
I am good. I am average at this point. So we got
Now, Travis, Rob asked me during the intro, he's like, Teflon Don. Have you heard the name Teflon Don before?
I've not. You know what? Honestly,
Really?
When you said it, I thought you were talking about Rick Ross.
Oh my gosh.
I really thought you were talking about Rick Ross, but that's a good name.
So I'm not like, a huge Trump fan or anything. I'm kind of just indifferent about it. But yeah, Teflon, because they say that like when they try to put charges on him, they always slip off. So he's Teflon Don. I thought I was being really clever.
It's good.
And I was confusing everybody.
Works.
Well,
like
yeah,
it.
now it's never clever when you have to explain it, right? So, those jokes where you have to explain it, like, oh yeah, that's funny. It's like, yeah, not really that funny.
Yeah.
But.
Hashtag Teflon Don.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll trend.
It might. Well, I think he's like, isn't he like he's in a bunch of trouble right now or something. He's in court or something. I don't know. I don't follow it. Like, I just try to put out all the white noise.
It's not a political show.
No, it's not a political show. Although we are going to talk about Donald Trump in a minute. But before we get into that, anybody do anything exciting recently? Trey, Robert, nothing?
Nothing exciting on my end. Tomorrow, I'm actually going to a festival that's in Dallas.
What? Which one? I love festivals.
Yeah, facts. Togetherland Fest is the name
What's
of it.
Togetherland? What is that one?
So it's a festival from Atlanta that they bring into Dallas. It's the first year. They trying to like expand it and make it big.
Okay.
And Lil Wayne is gonna be the headliner.
So it's a music festival.
It's a music festival. Yeah. It's a
Sick.
music festival.
Where is it?
It's at Fair Park.
Oh, really?
Park. Yes, indeed.
Dang. I know I'm actually gonna go to the Stars game tomorrow. I was like, 'cause I love music festivals. I would totally I would totally head down there. But that's gonna be awesome, man. I got to get a full report on that.
I will do.
Excellent. I actually went on a motorcycle trip this last weekend. I don't have anything exciting this weekend coming up, but that was pretty nice. Did a little trip down to. You guys ever go to the Hill Country?
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
Austin, Fredericksburg.
Yep. Yeah,
We went to Lukenbach. All that stuff is just amazing. Yeah.
Did you drive the bike?
Yeah. Me and my daughter Danica, we went. Yeah. In fact, I got a picture coming up on. I use it as like a title pic for one of the segments.
Right on.
So, but anyway, all right. Well, I guess let's jump into segments. Speaking of Teflon Don and Donald Trump, he popped up in some social media outlets just recently. He's always popping up for various reasons, but this one caught my eye because there was some news articles talking about Donald Trump plastic surgery rumors. And so this was interesting to me. And so this all spawns from some biopic film about Trump that premiered at the Cannes Film Festival. And I can't imagine it's a flattering biopic about Trump. Right. I don't know. I mean, like I said, I say it apolitically. I just know that like people that make films tend to not love Trump.
True.
And so this biopic claims that Trump has had several plastic surgeries, including hair plugs. I think they said facelift and then liposuction in the body and the neck. And then of course, all these like influencer plastic surgeons are now weighing in. Like some of these. Not me influencer. I'm not that guy, but like there's people out there that they're bigger plastic surgery accounts and they weigh in on everything. I mean, kind of like I do, but and so like all these influencer plastic surgeons, and I'm not going to name them, but they're all weighed in. They're like, oh yeah, he's had all this plastic surgery. They were all agreeing. And so anyway, I was kind of surprised about that because like I said, I'm no Trump fan or anything, but I've seen him in the media for the last 30 or 40 years.
Right.
And so, being a plastic surgeon, I notice when people change. I mean, we do segments about that all the time for different celebrities or
Right.
whatnot.
Yeah.
And so, and Trump has denied this. Like, in fact, his people, like, I should have actually quoted, his people put out this thing about that movie, like, it doesn't deserve to be in the garbage pail of a burned down blockbuster. It was this very kind of long, elaborate slam of this movie. But anyway, like I said, I was surprised to hear that people thought he'd had plastic surgery because, I've seen this guy. I mean, I remember back when he was in Home Alone and then, The Apprentice.
right.
And he's been on Saturday Night Live. So, I mean, I've seen this guy around for decades. So I had to do this. I had to do a deep dive, right? I had to know, okay, are these guys right or not? Because you know how these social media accounts are. Like, they'll just jump on something and agree just to, for clicks.
It doesn't have to be true.
It doesn't have to be true, right? It doesn't have to be true. So I literally went through multiple websites because they're out there that have Trump pictures year by year.
Awesome.
And so I did a pretty deep dive on this. And so once again, I'm speaking on this from a total neutral perspective because, I'm not a Trump fan, but nor do I dislike Trump. I'm really very neutral politically, which means everyone hates me.
So just looking at it and going, did this person have plastic surgery or not, based upon pictures? So that's what you did.
Yes, that's all I did. Nothing about it being Trump. Just is this particular individual have plastic surgery? And so I wanted to go through each one because I kind of have come to the conclusion that all these people saying that they know he's had plastic surgery are full of crap. I think they're just
Most
saying.
of them are.
I think they're just saying this for the clicks or to bandwagon with people. Because you say something bad about Trump and there's some people who hate you for it and some people like you and whatever. So I'm gonna go through these one by one. So talking about the hair plugs. So I want to throw up the first picture. Dude, that Donald Trump's had the same bad haircut for 70 years, man.
That is him as a kid?
Yeah, that's him
way.
at 5 or 6 years old, which is hilarious because I went through this year by year. This guy has never changed his haircut once. Dude, I have and not to derail my own segment here, but I've had every hairstyle known to man over the years. I had a bowl cut. I had a mullet. I mean, back when they were cool, right? I mean, because in the 80s, having a mullet was cool.
True.
I was cool. I had a mullet.
They're cool again now.
Are they coming back?
Oh, they're back.
Oh, they are back.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Right,
if
Travis?
Mullets.
Yeah.
You know what? The kids are wearing mullets, especially baseball players.
Okay, all right,
high school baseball
Mullets are
players.
back. Well, I had one back in the 80s. I remember, why I got mine? Because MacGyver had a mullet. You guys remember MacGyver?
Yes.
Dude, I love MacGyver. That guy was so smart. I wanted to be MacGyver. So anyway, MacGyver had a mullet, so I had a mullet. Anyway, and I've had all these different haircuts. Donald Trump's had the same freaking haircut for 70 years.
I mean,
and I'm not sure it was ever good. I don't,
right, but he's got a lot of hair. Looks thick,
right. So
good blessing.
So I went through all of his picks year by year. And, because one of my all-time heroes, and I've mentioned this before, I love Elon Musk. I for various reasons. That bro had hair plugs. There's pictures of him, in the 90s. He's balding. And then, 5 years later, he's got, a full, it looks like he has, buckwheat in the headlock. He's got, a full hair. It's going everywhere, man. He's got the greatest hair ever. He had hair plugs. I guarantee he had hair plugs.
But you still like him. Who
But
cares?
I don't care if he had hair plugs. I don't
Exactly.
care what he does. I don't like him because of his hair, right? But I went through year by year on Trump, and I could never find a time when he went from having a very receding hairline to suddenly he had a better hairline. I think his haircut's terrible. He does this thing with his hair where he sweeps it forward and then back. And it's almost like he's trying to cover that he's going bald, but he's not because I could never find a picture.
Yeah.
And so, and there's a ton of pictures of Trump out there. This guy is not a nobody. I mean, there's a bazillion pictures every year. I couldn't find one to me that convinced he's had hair plugs. Now, would I bet my life that he hasn't had hair plugs? No. I mean, theoretically possible that he went and had them even before he started to recede, and they were a really good job, so you didn't get that pluggy look.
Right.
I mean, it's possible, but can anyone say he's had them for sure? No. There's like Elon, right? You can look at pics of Elon and say, dude had hair plugs.
Yeah. But unless we were here together with Trump, Like, and looking at his
Trump,
scalp,
come on my show, buddy. We'll give
Bring
you a
it.
fair shake, I promise.
he was in Dallas last weekend, so
Did you meet
he'll
with him?
probably be back. I did not meet with him this time.
This time, right? Okay.
So it's fair to say, though, he does do some dyeing and coloring.
Oh yeah, color, sure,
I mean,
sure. And he does
you
like
know.
the fake tan, the fake and bake or whatever
Right.
it is.
So
yeah. So I mean, it's possible, but I just don't think so.
right.
And I think anyone who says they know he's had hair plugs is just blowing smoke, because there are people out there you can be like, that dude had hair plugs, which is fine. If you want hair plugs, go get them, man. I mean, you don't have to run around bald your whole life and go get hair plugs. They actually are really good these days. All right, so and I moved on to facelift. This one can be a little harder. The first thing I wanted to check to see was sideburns, because if a guy has sideburns, then they've never had a facelift, because facelift eliminates your sideburns, and that's why it's a little bit trickier on men versus women, because women obviously don't wear sideburns except for like the odd person.
That's another story.
Yeah, it's another story. But men often wear sideburns. Like I used to wear pretty big sideburns. I had chops for a while. Charles, you see me with chops?
I've never seen you with the chops before.
Dude, back in the 90s, chops were cool, and so I had like in the 90s and 2000s, I had some pretty cool chops. Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
I would love to see pictures of both of y'all from the 90s.
Dude, I had some crazy hairstyles, man. I had the Kurt Cobain haircut for a while. Like I've gone through every hairstyle. I had Kurt Cobain. I had like bad white boy dreads for a while.
Oh,
I mean,
gosh.
I've had everything.
You gotta bring some pictures.
I don't know, man. I don't want to lose followers.
So you'd be disappointed in me, Trellis. I've got great hair. I mean,
But you've had that hair, dude. You had that haircut when I knew you in college. I mean,
well,
it's like,
maybe. I mean, it's just a little different. I'll let it grow. But yeah, my parents would have kicked me out of the house with a rat tail. Like, no.
no, I
you're
never
not
had a
growing
rat.
that.
I never had a rat tail.
Or
I had
a
a mullet.
No. Yeah.
Mullets are way cooler than rat tails.
Dude,
I just want
true,
people
true.
to know that. Anyway, I went year by year through Trump's picks. I couldn't find a time when he went from saggy to like tight. And I actually pulled up some. Don't show them yet, Charles. We'll do them at the end. I actually put some side-by-side pics. I don't think he's had a facelift. I mean, if he did, it was the most subtle facelift ever, and I just don't think he did.
So, real quick, what would you look for? And if you're going to talk about that, I mean,
Well-
because I don't know what to look for. It's
So you
different.
can't do. I'm telling you, you can't really pick out the scars for facelift unless they're just horribly bad.
Right.
Like the facelift scars go along the border of the ear, like on the inside, and then it goes around like this to the backside and into your hairline.
Okay.
And if I was able to like literally get up on someone like literally in their business or in their personal space, yeah, I could probably tell you if they had a facelift. From a picture, no way. Not unless it's just botched, right? So the scars you're not gonna be able to tell. If they wear sideburns, then they haven't had one, because the facelift cuts off skin and it cuts off the sideburn skin. So when you do a facelift consult on a male, you're like, all right, man, this is it. No more sideburns. You cool with that? I mean,
Yeah.
but otherwise, what I was really looking for is I was looking for a time when he had basically a fallen face to a tight face. And I didn't really see it. And what makes it a little challenging is because he's had some weight fluctuations over the years. Not huge, weight fluctations.
Right.
Mostly he's just kind of slowly gained. But I didn't see it anywhere. I don't think he's had a facelift. I think that's a wrong. And then the final one is liposuction. So there was two things they said that they thought he got liposuction. One was his body. All right, right off the bat, I'm very doubtful for that. We talked about this in the past. Men carry fat internally. Most men do not carry fat externally. So very rare that men get external liposuction like of their belly.
Right, because it's below the muscle.
Right.
And
Exactly.
It's not safe.
Have you watched the show?
I've watched
He's
the show.
watched the show, Travis. He knows this from watching the show.
I mean, I may,
so
yeah,
happy.
I may have said, I could use a little bit of extra.
No, dude, like it's hard, man, because
get it off.
most men will not have a thick layer on the outside. So I don't buy that he's had body liposuction. Is it technically possible? Sure, but no one knows that for sure. That's
Right.
total bullcorn. And then the other thing they said was his neck, right? And I mean, there's a couple pictures where he has a little bit of extra fat in his neck, and now, I mean, he's like almost 80, and yeah, he's got some loose skin on his neck, but I mean, he's 80 years old. I mean, no one looks awesome at 80. I mean, no offense to 80-year-olds. I mean, but
Right.
age catches up with you.
So let me throw you a curveball,
Oh,
unless you
bring
had
it.
something else to say.
Nah, I'm ready for the
So
curve.
they have talked about
They.
his diet is horrible, and he
Yeah, he's
drinks
like
10
cheeseburger.
diet, but he doesn't look 80. There's some other political people out there that definitely look their age, or even other people in general. So,
Yeah. So why do
I
you-
wonder if that plays
Do you-
into
but, I mean,
it. But
I
he
don't know,
looks
like, I
pretty
think
good for 80.
I mean, I don't know. I mean,
can't
to
wait
me,
to see the pictures you
to
got.
me, he kind of looks his age. Like, if you throw his last picture up there, and I think I only pulled up through 2020, and here, go to the next one, Charles. We can go through these. All right, so that's his age in each of these pictures, right? I want you guys to notice the hair. That hair doesn't really change. Like, it stays the same, you know? I don't see...
Sideburns there at 35.
Yeah, he had
33.
sideburns at one point back when sideburns were, kind of in. I mean,
Right.
I wore sideburns for a long... I think probably past their prime. And I was hoping to find him with a picture of sideburns, like, later on in life, but he doesn't
Right.
have them. But that doesn't mean he had a facelift. It just means he doesn't wear sideburns anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, could it mean that he had a facelift? I mean, I guess, but, like, there's not really a good picture that shows his face going from, being slack to being tight. So I guess go to the next one, Travis. We'll flip through the rest. So 44, 49, 59, 66, 72. I mean, to me, I don't know.
His face looks pretty consistent through the years.
Yeah, that's
to be
what I'm
honest
thinking.
with
He
you.
looks like he's just slowly aging.
Right. It looks like natural age.
So is
pretty much.
76 the first year of his presidency?
Yeah, it's 20.
I mean,
No,
looks,
crap.
I
How old is
remember
he?
how old
He's
he is.
70. He's 78 right now. No, that was 2020.
okay.
I think that was
So,
2020.
Roughly
roughly.
a little bit different, but lighting, that sort of thing. But with somebody like Trump, there's so many pictures that aren't from his,
Like from his
PR
people. Yeah, right.
I mean, you've got everybody taking pictures, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh, we didn't get to change that or doctor it.
Right.
I mean, it is what it is. So, I mean, I agree. Like 59 right there, that's him and that hairstyle. And,
His hair's
you
been
know,
the same for 70 years. How's that even possible? That's going to be you, Robert.
Yeah, no.
Did
no,
you have
no,
to
no.
change up the hairstyle at some point?
I've done shorter and, the Caesar look. And
I had a
the
Caesar cut for a
long-
while.
Yeah, so.
That was
yeah.
actually what I had before I kind of went to this disheveled look.
I mean, the messy, I could use a haircut.
I'm just glad I
today,
still
but
have hair. You know?
Hey,
I mean-
my dad died with a full head of hair. I mean, it's gonna be.
Yeah, you
great,
got
but,
good hair.
You know,
Now, do you
good
dye
blessing.
do you dye your hair?
No.
You don't dye your hair?
No products, brother. This is me.
Do you know what? I have
I'm
like
natural.
super
Yep.
gray hair. Like, I mean, this is not a secret. I dye my hair. I do all kinds of colors because my hair's pretty gray.
Yeah.
And I mean, I just don't like the salt and pepper look personally. Some people love it. I just am like, eh. Let them pass.
I got a couple gray strands at the top.
Do you, Travis?
Yeah,
You're
I
pretty
do.
young for that.
I do.
Dude, I'll hook you up with my stylist. She does
I
good.
don't mind them though. I don't
Yeah,
mind
you
them.
say that now, man. Wait a few
Watch.
years, buddy. Wait a few years. I can hook you up.
I got you. I keep
My
it
girl
in
does
mind.
great color.
I keep it in mind.
All right.
There you go.
All right, so yeah, just kind of summarizing this whole Donald Trump plastic surgery thing. I mean, I don't think anyone can tell you for fact that Donald Trump's had plastic surgery except for him or maybe his wife. I looked through his pictures over the span of like literally 60 years. There's nothing concrete to say that Donald Trump's had plastic surgery. Is it possible he's had plastic surgery? Sure. Is it likely? I don't think so. I don't see any evidence of him having hair plugs. I don't think he's had a facelift. Lipo, I mean, maybe. You can really never tell, but like body lipo is not common for men. And I just hadn't really seen a huge change in his neck like they were claiming. So, like I said, I can't tell you for sure about Donald Trump. I am skeptical that he's had plastic surgery, but
So can we say myth busted?
we could say it.
I mean, kind of.
But say
you
it.
know,
Say it.
myth busted.
Myth busted.
What they used to do, they bang.
We should have something. I need
Yeah.
like a gavel or something. Travis, we need to get some props in here,
Yeah,
buddy.
come
Like,
on.
what's going on? I need some props.
Putting it on the list.
All right.
What are your thoughts, Travis?
Yeah, Travis, what do you think, Travis? You know a lot. You've been on the show for 2 years. Tell me.
Do I think he's had like a facelift?
I don't know any of it. What do you think?
No. I
You're
don't think-
quiet in there.
I honestly don't think he's had a facelift. Like going through those pictures, it does look like his face stayed pretty consistent throughout.
Yeah, he's just slightly aging.
Yeah, he's just slightly aged. It looks like a man that's getting older and his face
Yeah.
is changing naturally.
And I mean, he's been under a lot of stress, right? I mean, he's allowed for him to age.
Now,
He's got a lot going on.
I do have someone who chimed in from YouTube. Inadvisable ship builds. He said
That's my buddy Egmont. What's up, Egmont?
he said he needs a lobotomy, not cosmetic surgery. Is what he told me. So I can't co-sign on the lobotomy.
I like the comment. Thank you. I'm gonna be like,
That's
oh,
another
okay,
segment, another show.
we'll put that under advisement. But I do appreciate you commenting. All right, enough about Donald Trump. That was actually pretty fun. I like that. We're going to have to do more of these crazy segments.
Absolutely.
All right, so I'm going to weigh in on another topic, something I know a little bit about, something near and dear to me. And actually, this came up because of something I saw on X. It's funny where I get these segments. I'll see something on social media. I'm like, that's a segment. And so I saw something about, in fact, I snatched one of the infographics. And the infographic I commented on is actually in this presentation. So this is a segment on, is riding motorcycles safe? And that's actually me and my daughter from this last weekend. Awesome. It was kind of cool. So we did the Texas Hill Country, and they had these cameramen set up on these really famous like motorcycle, like I don't want to say trails because they're not trails, they're roads, but they're rides. Yeah, rides. Thank you, Robert. And so like they had cameras and they had a little thing that said like the name. It was, I'll give them a shout out. It was TX Moto Photo, but photo was an F. And so you go to the day that you were riding and you it's had it by the type of bike, and so I found the picture, and you have to buy it, but the picture's awesome, man. It's like a great picture.
Well,
really
and
clever.
to get that picture, you got to get a friend or
and when it was cool because like
perfect.
I saw them like way up in the distance, and I elbowed my daughter, like, hey, thumbs up to these people on the side of the road. So it's like kind of a cool picture, right? I'm making it frame. Anyway,
great.
So a surgeon reacts to, is riding motorcycle safe? And the answer is no. All right, segment over. Just kidding. But I got more information than that.
Myth busted.
Myth busted. You know, I mean, I am going to say that riding motorcycles is not necessarily a safe hobby. But, there's a but. You can make it reasonably safe.
Right.
And so I've actually looked all this stuff up before, and I'm surprised I haven't done a segment on this in the past. Because this is actually really good information if you have interest. Now, let me ask you guys, you ride motorcycles? I think I know the answer for you, Robert. You haven't, right? Because I've tried to get you to, I talked about you renting a trike or something.
So my thing is I've never really ridden them.
And we'll talk about that in a minute.
I'm not going to go hop on 635.
Yeah, that would be, that'd be bad.
Yeah, and so that's it's definitely a good fear, you know?
Yes, it is a good fear. Unlike my roommate in college who actually totaled my prize bike in college. It was totaled by my friend.
What did you say? It was yellow or
it was
gold?
Yellow. It was yellow.
It was Ninja, right?
Arrest Me Yellow. Yeah, it was Arrest Me Yellow Ninja. I love that bike, dude. You know, it was so easy to like pick up girls in college with that bike.
There you go. There you go. And I know people that have done motocross. I mean, their kids rode a motorcycle before they rode a bike. Yeah. You know, like a real bike or whatever. Right. How long have you been riding?
I got my motorcycle license at 15 because you could get it back at 15. But I was riding for probably 3 years before that.
Okay.
So I've been riding, 37 years.
Yeah.
Pretty consistently. I had one stretch. So in my general surgery residency, I went to this very notoriously malignant, hardcore surgery program. And the guy that was the chairman, who was like enormously famous surgeon. Like his name's Hiram Polk, and I'm sure you guys never heard of him. But like in the surgery world, the guy's like, DeBakey. Right. He's like up there.
The hard guy.
He said if he ever caught any of his residents on a motorcycle, he would fire him on the spot. So I sold my bike before I went to residency,
Smart.
and I didn't buy one when I was up there, but so for 5 years I didn't have a bike. Well, it was a little longer than that.
Right.
What about you, Travis? You ridden a motorcycle?
I've ridden a motorcycle like as a passenger. Never
as a passenger. Okay.
Never driven one myself. But
gotcha.
As a kid and as an adult, I'm not gonna lie, like a young adult, I used to always want a motorcycle.
Yeah.
And I still kind of do to this day. I always say when I get married, I'll get
we're gonna talk about the right way to do it. Because I've pulled all the data on this, and it is a little scary at first. And I'm gonna throw up the infographic that kind of spawned this segment. Can you throw it up there, Travis? It's basically talking about the fatality rate per 100 million passenger miles. And so this is in, data type format. But the take home from this, and this one's kind of extreme, but the take home is that if you're riding a motorcycle, you're 28 to 40 times more likely to die than if you're driving a car.
Okay.
That's a pretty big number, okay? Statistically, it's very dangerous comparatively to other forms of travel. And of course, the question is why, and it's obvious you're not protected.
Right.
If you get hit in a car, like the chassis and the frame of the car protect you from getting squished. In a motorcycle, you have no such thing.
Right.
But there is good news. There is a way to decrease this 28 to 40 times more likely to die down to about 4 times. So you can dramatically decrease that risk of death. And the way you do that is to understand the statistics behind motorcycle crashes, what causes them, and what are the circumstances that involve motorcycle fatalities. And this data is readily available. And I've pulled it up multiple times. I think I did a TikTok about it. I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, like before the show ever started. And so I pulled all that data and I just pulled it again, and it hasn't really changed. So I want to go through it with you. So a little bit of background data. Every year in the United States, 4,000 to 6,000 motorcyclists get killed, about 80 to 100,000 injured. And the death rate has gone up. In the past decade, the death rate's gone up about 20%. I think I got an infographic if you guys want to see it. Yeah, here it is. So this has the injured and killed from the NHTSA past 10 years. So deaths are slightly rising, year to year. It's gone up about 20% in the last 10 years. And so, the question is, why has it gone up? Well, there have been the repealing of some helmet laws in some states, which we'll talk about why that's important. Right. And then also, too, I think that the popularity is increasing.
More people.
The more people that ride, the more crashes are going to be, the more people are going to die.
More people on the road.
Yeah. So what are the risk factors? Well, and you guys both just tapped on it just a second ago. Number one is either untrained or inexperienced riders. Almost 40% of motorcycle fatalities, the rider did not have a license. Oh. That's pretty high. I mean, most motorcyclists have licenses. Most people do. But of the people who die, almost half did not. And so kind of going to you guys, and I'm not at all encouraging either one of you to get a motorcycle, because as soon as I do that, someone will get one and kill themselves, and I'd feel really terrible. Yeah. But if you were going to go about doing it, you absolutely want to go and do a course, which I didn't do. So I didn't do this, but I just had a very odd circumstance where my dad purchased some very low power motorcycles, and we had a very big open space that we could ride, and I learned that way. And and I crashed a few times, but I crashed at low speed. Right. I wasn't in traffic. I was literally around no cars, and that's how I basically got the mechanics down. Right. And then I actually I got my original motorcycle license, which was kind of I think I was limited to 150 cc's when I was 15. Right. And then at 16, I had to retake the test to get the big boy license or whatever. Yeah. But if you're going to go about getting the license, there's a ton of courses out there. They supply the bikes. You don't have to have a bike. And it's like classwork, and it's riding, and you go through these courses, and there's different levels of them to get the basics down and the intermediates, because it's just so important, because riding a motorcycle is not like driving a car. It is completely different. They're all for the most part standards, which I assume you know how to drive a standard.
Yeah.
Travis, can you drive a standard? This is a good question. Can Travis drive a standard?
I cannot.
You can't?
I cannot.
Oh my God.
We got to teach you. Come on, man. Well,
dude, I'm going to bring my Blazer up here. I'm going to teach you how to drive a standard. We're going to do that, and we're going to video that.
They're not in cars anymore.
They are not.
Oh my
God.
How
do you learn?
They're not. My mom could drive one, but I cannot.
Unfortunately cannot. Yep.
That's just crazy. I keep hearing that people can't drive standards these days. That can't be true. That can't be true.
Nope.
My first car was a standard.
Well, or we had a buddy that had one, and you're like,
in fact, I've had more my daily driver is that old beat up truck, and that is an automatic, but only because they didn't have a standard in that vehicle that I wanted. Yep. I've had one other car that was an automatic besides my truck. I've had more standards than automatic. Yep. I like standards. I like I call it row your own. Row your own.
Absolutely.
That's how did I get talking about? Because the bikes. I was like, why am I on this tangent?
Well, and some people don't understand. It's like first gear is what, and
and so it's like one. So it's like one stalling. Down, 5 up. And of course, and if you fall, that's potentially dangerous. Yeah. So I think if you're gonna go about getting one, absolutely 100% do the training course and get your license. Getting license is kind of formality, because I'm not sure that getting my license really, helped me. Right. But it meant that I at least went through the proper channels to do it. Right. So inexperienced, untrained drivers, 40% of fatalities. Okay, the big one, obviously, not wearing a helmet is terrible. 40 to 55%, depending on which studies you look at, of fatalities had no helmet on. That's enormously high. Yeah. Super high, because most people wear helmets. But the biggest percentage, or at least half of the people that die are not wearing helmets. Texas is a no helmet state. Which this is gonna sound weird. I'm against helmet laws. I'm a very live and let live kind of person. If you don't want to wear a helmet, I'm not gonna force you to do it. But
right.
I think you're insane if you don't wear a helmet.
Right.
I mean, I know it wasn't a friend of mine, but a friend of my father-in-law's died in like a 10-mile-per-hour crash because he got hit, or I can't remember how it went down, but he fell off his bike at a very low speed, and the first thing that hit the ground was the back of his head, and he got a brain bleed, and he died at like 5 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, and think about going 30, 40, 50 miles an hour. If you don't have a helmet on, your chance of dying is extremely high because your head's heavy. It wants to hit the ground first.
Right.
The heaviest part wants to go down.
Yeah.
And when your head hits the ground, you have a high chance of dying.
Right.
So I am absolutely religious about wearing a helmet. The only thing I will not wear helmet is if I literally move my bike from the garage to the driveway. That's like it. If I'm going a block down the road, I'm wearing a helmet. I also wear armor. I always wear a Kevlar jacket, and if I'm traveling on a trip, I always wear Kevlar pants.
Hey, will you pull that picture up again, Travis? Can you?
Which one?
Easy. The picture of him and Danica. Because I want to see. I mean,
Danica's got armor on too. She doesn't have armor on her legs, which I feel kind of bad about that. But it's hard to find pants. But that white jacket, that's actually my wife's jacket, which is crazy because my daughter can wear it.
Right.
But the arms and the shoulders are Kevlar.
Right.
As is mine. That's my favorite.
You can kind of see it too.
Yeah, it looks like shoulder pads, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
and then the pants I'm wearing too, those are Ducati pants, but they're also Kevlar. And then it's got shin pads like hockey pads in the front.
Well, even wearing the boots and everything, I mean, it's
gloves are important. I feel bad because I wear fingerless gloves, but I just don't like fingered gloves. So I wear.
I think it is really smart, like you said, though, to take a course for it. I actually stayed right across the street from where they train, I guess, in this parking lot.
Yeah.
Really? And until you said that just now, it didn't hit me that they were out there taking a course on how to drive. I thought it was that's you getting your license.
Yeah. So wearing helmet, protective gear. Another big one, excessive speed. Over 1/3 of motorcycle fatalities are due to speeding. Right. And I get it. Motorcycles are way overpowered. There's motorcycles. I just bought a new bike and things got more horsepower than a lot of cars I've owned. They're insane and they weigh nothing. Yep. And it's really easy to let them get ahead of you. And you can, go to get on the freeway and you're doing 110. And you're like, whoa, how the heck did I get going this fast? Well, it's because things are overpowered.
Yep.
So you have to avoid, driving like a numbskull. You don't drive it like you stole it. Be smart. Alcohol, big one. Almost 30% of motorcycle fatalities include alcohol. Drinking and driving a car is literally idiotic.
Right.
Drinking and driving a motorcycle is just suicidal. I mean, if you impair your motor skills and you got on a motorcycle, I don't know how anyone would make it home. Yeah. I mean, it takes skill and balance to ride a motorcycle. If you're drunk, you're going to die. Right. Here's another one that a lot of people don't think of, driving at night. Throw up that next infographic there, Travis. This shows when people die in motorcycles. So if you look at that, over half of the motorcycle fatalities occur between 6 p.m. and 9 a.m. So it'd be evening or nighttime. And I understand this one because especially as you get a little bit older, your night vision starts to go. Yeah. And little things like stuff running out in the road or cars, cars can't see you can't see them. Right. I will drive at night, but I don't like it. When I plan a trip, I always try to be where I'm at by dusk. Right. Because it is absolutely statistically true that driving at night is much more dangerous.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. It's other cars not seeing you on a motorcycle. Yeah. You may have even driving, same thing. You got to look and check and double check, but they may not see you.
And this is a tip that I'm going to give people if you're going to get a bike. Every single one of my bikes has an aftermarket pipe. Why? Well, one, they're cool. I like the sound of them. But two, I like a loud bike. I want people to know I'm coming and I know I'm going. And I don't care if sense. I don't care if it irritates the neighbors. A motorcycle that's loud is a motorcycle that someone knows is at least around. And so every one of my bikes is all got aftermarket pipes because stock pipes generally are not loud.
Well, that makes sense because I've been in the car before and one will be on you and you don't hear it.
Yeah, you don't hear it. Yeah.
Or even walking around the neighborhood or whatever with the Teslas and you're like, oh,
you can't even hear those things. Yeah.
No, which is great, kind of. Mm-hmm. But I like being able to hear them. It's flexing your muscles, but that's a good point.
Yeah. All right, driving in urban areas. Over 2/3 of motorcycle fatalities occur in urban areas versus suburban or rural areas. So it's much more dangerous to drive in big cities than it is in suburbs.
That makes sense.
And some of that too is that's where the people are concentrated.
Right.
Some of that is just due to that's where people are. But to go along with that, it's funny. There's a girl that I work with. Hey Rachel, if you're watching, she drives bikes, and she was telling me the other day that she has a bike, but she's scared to get on the freeway. Statistically, that's the safest place to be. 92% of motorcycle fatalities occur on non-interstate roads.
Interesting.
Interstates are generally one of the safest places because, and going on to the next thing, one of the absolute most dangerous places for a motorcycle to be is an intersection. Intersections are insanely dangerous. 1/3 of all motorcycle fatalities occur at intersections, even though intersections are a tiny percentage of the total road that you drive on. And so when you look at all those things that contribute to motorcycle fatalities, if you can avoid these, which you can't. I mean, you can't avoid going through an intersection, but you can be hyper cautious at an intersection. And I want to tell you guys a tip, and I didn't invent this, although I've always done this my entire life, but there are people out there that kind of talk about this more, and it's called driving invisible. I literally drive a motorcycle like no one can see me. I always expect that someone's going to pull out in front of me. When I'm like going through an intersection, I always cover my brake. And so what that means by covering your brake is you have your hand on your brake and you're ready to apply it instantaneously. You don't have to like do the hand shift, and like you're expecting someone to pull out in front of you. You're always watching, you're always vigilant. And I mean, even doing that, you still can get hit, but like you're much less likely to get hit if you're driving that bike, like you feel like no one can see you. And I've done that my whole life, and I mean, I don't want to jinx myself, but I mean, I have a pretty good track record.
Well, and that's what I tell my kids, like, yeah, they're supposed to stop for you when you walk across the road. We're talking about something different.
But it's the same principle.
But expect them not to
expect
stop.
the unexpected.
So do not go across and think they see you. Make that eye contact. Yeah. Good job. I like it.
All right, so I just want to do a quick summary on this segment that we did today on, is it safe to ride motorcycles? Well, it's not really safe to ride motorcycles. However, if you know what causes motorcycle crashes and fatalities, you can decrease that risk to what I think is an acceptable risk. And so one of the most important things is you have to wear a helmet. If you don't wear a helmet, your chance of dying goes up dramatically. Get a license and get properly trained. Inexperienced riders make up a huge amount of motorcycle fatalities. Avoid alcohol. That should go without saying. Driving a motorcycle under the influence of alcohol or drugs is a way to get killed. Avoid driving at night. That's one not a lot of people know about. Over half of motorcycle fatalities occur in the evening or nighttime. Avoiding urban areas if possible. About 2/3 of motorcycle fatalities occur in big cities versus suburbs or rural areas. Avoiding excess speed. Motorcycles like to go fast, but about 1/3 of all motorcycle fatalities include excessive speed. And then finally, having extreme caution in intersections. A lot of motorcycle fatalities occur at intersections, even though that's a small percentage of your riding time. And the final tip is, if you're going to ride a motorcycle, drive like you're invisible. Act like no one can see you. Anticipate that everyone might be out to run into you. And if you're that vigilant, you can make it pretty safe. So
good to hear. I like that. I'm going to remember the driving invisible.
That's a cool thing. I wish I could say I invented that. And I didn't hear about that before I kind of came up with that. Yeah. But then as someone, I don't know if I would have called it driving invisible. I would have said drive like everyone's out to kill you. Yeah. But then I saw a video of somebody saying drive invisible. I'm like, oh, that's pretty. I should have done that video 10 years ago. I'd be rich or something.
Smart.
All right, let's move on to our last segment. So we're moving back from motorcycles to plastic surgery. Two things I guess I know the most about.
True.
A lot of people will message me on different social medias about cost of plastic surgery.
Okay.
And so I want to kind of go over that because there are a lot of costs that people may not know about, and then there's hidden costs. And I think if you're going to have plastic surgery, you need to be aware of these. And I'm not sure every plastic surgeon is upfront about this because they don't want to scare people off.
Right.
So let's talk about the known costs of plastic surgery. So, Robert, I'm putting you on the spot here. Tell me, what's one of the known costs of plastic surgery? I know you can name one, right?
Well, like how much or
like what? I mean, what constitutes like when you get a bill it says $8,000 to get my boobs done? Like where's that money going?
Okay, so great point. Man, now I'm thinking about it. I mean, you're paying for, if you're getting an implant, you're paying for the implant. What's
right, okay,
that's
one. That's exactly right. Yeah, materials. So implants,
like
garments.
I say, it's like everything else. You get what you pay for, so you're paying somebody to do this
the surgeon.
for you.
Yeah.
So,
You're right. I was just
I know.
I was just messing with you. But you're right. So all right. So I'll go through them. But yeah, you're right. When you like ask somebody, it's like, okay, well, where's that money going? At first, you're like, geez, where is that money going? Right. All right. So
well, I bet you. Pause.
Okay.
I bet you get calls like, how much is it to like get a breast augmentation? How much is it to? And it's not.
So we usually give people like the total cost.
Okay.
Yeah, we wouldn't trick them by saying just what our fee is and then have them come in and be like, by the way, you owe this.
Did you want the floor mats?
Yeah, did you actually want the implants? No. Yeah, right, for the course. So when you talk about plastic surgery costs, the big one's going to be the surgeon fee. That usually is the biggest hit because the surgeon will get a fee for doing the surgery. And why the fee is pretty big? Well, I mean, it comes down to overhead. Plastic surgery overhead is generally very expensive. There's a lot of marketing involved. It involves, having a really good website, doing social media, and that stuff costs money.
But one of the things people don't think about is you having insurance coverage.
Malpractice. I mean, that can be big. That's really a state-to-state thing, though.
Yeah, but you got to have it, right?
Yeah, you have to have it. That definitely plays
regardless,
into it.
But all of those little things, you pay electricity to have.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, overhead.
Everything. Yep.
Surgeon fee. The next one that's the big one is the facility/OR fee.
Okay.
Now some surgeons have their own ORs, but you're still getting hit for a fee to use that room where the surgery occurs.
Right.
So typically the second biggest fee is going to be the OR fee. Then most of the time you're going to be under anesthesia. The anesthesiologist has to get paid.
That's a
right?
person.
Yep. So they have to get paid. You said one, materials. Now not every plastic surgery has materials. Like for example, if I'm doing a tummy tuck, like we don't charge people individually for the suture. That's part of the OR cost.
Right.
But you hit the nail on the head with implants, breast implants. The other thing would be if you use meshes. I did a surgery today where I used a mesh to repair somebody that had an issue with breast surgery in the past, and there's a cost for that. Like garments, like if you have to have a special garment, like a compression garment.
Right.
And then the last known cost, or it should be known cost, is medications, which that's pretty small, like pain meds, antibiotics, that kind of stuff.
Right.
So those are kind of the known costs of like what you would typically think of. Okay, I'm paying X amount of money for this surgery. Where is that going? It's going to those things. But then there's other costs. Okay. And this is where you have to kind of think about things, because where I've seen people get into trouble is someone, spends every last penny they have to have surgery and they don't anticipate these other costs. So I think one of the big ones you have to think about is time off work, right? You're having surgery and you're not going to be able to go right back to work for most of them. Some of them you can, like breast aug. I mean, we have people do them on Friday and go back to work on Monday. But for a lot of surgeries, you can't do that.
Yep.
And then there's often times where people underestimate it. Like, so part of my spiel when I do a consult is like, I think you need to take X amount off work. And they're like, well, I'm going to take this off, and then if I need to take more off, I will. I'm like, okay, that's fine, but just be aware that most people need 2 weeks, not one. And so, and that doesn't include if you have complications. Yeah. And that's kind of where one of the big hidden costs comes, is if something happens and things don't go perfectly smooth and you either have to take more time off work or you have to go back to surgery for some reason, that's going to incur more costs. And it could incur all the costs over again. Now, for my patients, if somebody needs to go back to surgery really for any reason, I don't charge them anything. Thankfully, I don't have a lot of people go back to surgery, so I can do that. Where if you have to go back, I'm not going to charge you nothing because I just want patients to be happy. But we don't pay like their OR time, and so they, that would be something that would pop up as a hidden cost.
Right.
Going along with that is like touch-ups. I mean, every once in a while, I'll have somebody like say maybe their scar isn't perfect and they want to do a slight touch-up. Now, I try to do those in the office, and then I don't charge people for it. But if a touch-up has to go to surgery, then there's going to be a cost, even if I don't charge them the cost of the OR time and potentially anesthesia.
The drugs and the anesthesia.
Yeah, right, all of it over again.
Yep.
There's some follow-up treatments. So like sometimes people need things like lymphatic massage if they get a lot of edema.
Yep.
Sometimes people, like say for example, you get liposuction and your skin's loose, then you might want to get a laser afterwards because your skin's looser than you want it to be. Skin care, scar treatments, that kind of stuff, can add up. Not it's like super expensive, but can add up. Right. And then finally, some plastic surgeries do necessitate surgeries down the road. Okay. And the obvious one is going to be breast implants. Okay. If you get breast implants at 20 years old or even 30, chances are pretty much 100% that sometime in your life you're going to need those implants replaced or change to something different. Yeah. So you have to think about that. And, it's easy to think, 30 years, I'm going to be rich and I don't have to worry about it. But that didn't always work out. And so you just have to make sure that, you at least know about it. You know that, okay, if I do this particular surgery, somewhere down the road, I may have to have another surgery. Yeah. And I always tell people, like, especially, you know, for women especially, you know, having plastic surgery before having kids almost absolutely means you're going to have plastic surgery to get things back to where it is, because pregnancy, you know, does a number to your body.
Right.
So, and finally, just kind of sum this things up. I'm always tell people to be very wary of bargain basement plastic surgery. I mean, I know that should go without saying. Right. I mean, I personally wouldn't want to have surgery from the lowest bidder. I mean, you know, it goes like with pilots too. I don't want the pilot that like is going to fly me around for $20.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of want that to be expensive, because, you know, if somebody is charging very little money, there's a reason for that. They need the work. And you want to go to a plastic surgeon that's busy, right?
Well, and I look at it, you know, I had a windshield replaced recently, and they were like, you can go to this national company, but they're going to charge you a dispensing fee and this and that and whatever. And so it looked like it was cheaper, but to walk out the door, it was actually
a little bit more. Yeah.
And do you get somebody that know what they're doing? Yeah. So do it once and be done. And the other point I think that I was thinking of was every body's body heals differently.
Yeah.
You know, I typically heal pretty quick.
Some people don't. They need more time off work, or maybe they won't, you know, heal as well, and then, you know, might incur different costs on the road.
Let me ask you a question. What's the biggest question around that? Like the money and all of that stuff. Is there one that comes out all the time that people ask?
One that comes out? What do you mean by
that? Like a question like, well, what about this? Or that they're surprised by? What are most people surprised by?
I mean, part of like my whole thing as being a doctor and a surgeon is like, I'm not scared to scare people off. Like, I'm just bluntly honest about everything. Like, I talk about every, you know, complication that might pop up. I'm like, hey, look, complications happen. There's a saying in surgery that's 100% true that says, if you're not having complications, you're not operating enough. Because the complication rate exists. It's not zero. And so if you're doing, you know, I mean, I do 300 to 400 surgeries a year. You know, when you're doing that many surgeries, like, odds catch up to you eventually, and somebody's going to have an issue. And I'm very upfront with that about patients. And so I'm like, look, and the same thing about money. I'm like, and I always tell people, like, look, I'm trying to save you money by doing this. Like, you know, for example, you know, you can unbundle plastic surgery because it's out of pocket. And then what unbundling means is one surgery includes 3 surgeries, or you can bill for 3 surgeries. You know what I'm saying? So I try to bundle stuff as much as I can and say, okay, we're just charging you one fee. We're not going to like unbundle this. And I, you know, because like I didn't grow up a ton of money, so I'm always thinking about money.
Right.
And so like I'm pretty honest to my patients, you know, about, you know, what the potential risks are, what the potential costs are. I don't really get, since I do that, and like I was trying to remember how I got off on that tangent, because you were asking about what people ask about. Because I really go into all that detail, we don't get a lot of people, you know, to ask. We're just very upfront with information. So
that probably takes a lot of time then with the patient.
Yeah, it
just
does.
Like, how much is this?
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah, we break it down by the penny. We're like, okay, this is what this is. This is what our fee is, and you know, this is like the materials and. Right. And I'm very upfront about, like, if you have to go back surgery, like, that's on you, right? I mean, I'm not charging nothing, but so I think at least for me in my practice, like, we're pretty transparent. Good. I mean, that's important to me. I mean, I don't want I know I've said this a million times, like, you know, when people come to me, like, I'm not trying to talk you into having surgery. You know, I'm telling you, like, the straight truth. And if you want to do it and you understand everything about it, great, let's do it. But, like, I'm not trying to trick people into do it or, like, hide stuff so that they do it, you know.
Right. Seems like a lot of it, you know, or the stories of people going, oh, I had this surgery and I was in the hospital and they charged me $80 for 2 Tylenol.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and
you'll see that all the time. But, like, you know, that's like and I see those things on social media all the time.
Right.
People will pull up their bill. And the reason, I mean, this is total, like, a side note, but it's worth talking about. The reason that those bills look so stupid is because that's, like, what they charge the insurance, because insurance always pays, like, 20 cents on the dollar. Mm-hmm. If you actually charge the insurance what you wanted to get, you get 20% of it. So, like, they inflate these bills, and then they get sent to the patient. The patient's, like, going on Twitter being like, look, the hospital is charging me $10,000 for a blood draw.
Right.
Ain't no one paying that. Like, you know, the insurance is going to give them, like, a fraction of that. And at the end, you may have to pay something. So that's kind of like a, I don't know, bait post, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, healthcare is totally broken, but I mean, that's a little untruthful when people post that kind of stuff.
So I would walk out of your office knowing exactly.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
I mean, other than something weird or crazy happens.
Yeah.
Which is me. I'm like, I just want all the facts so I can make that final
No,
decision.
we are pretty good about that. Because, you know, like I said, I mean, I'm fortunate. I've been practicing like a long time now, and like, you know, we have a good reputation. So we have a pretty steady stream of patients. Yeah. And so like if I scare someone off, I mean, then that's fine. Like, you know, it's better for them, right?
Exactly.
You know, it's better that they reconsidered that if that's not what they really want to do. So
cool.
All right, Robert. Thanks so much for coming on, bud. I appreciate it.
Anytime.
I really do appreciate it. Hey, you're good
it's
at this.
Fun.
You know, you should start your own podcast.
You know,
dude,
why
Jeff's
not?
gonna hit Jeff's gonna hit Robert up to do his own podcast. Be like, Jeff, you got to watch Robert on here. He's pretty good.
I mean, sometimes, you know, maybe.
You should start
I
your own
can talk
show
about anything.
I
Do
know
a
you
podcast about hair. Just do a podcast about hair. That's it.
about hairstyles that last the decades. You and Trump,
Yeah.
you guys could do a show about hairstyles that last a lifetime.
Hey, so Trellis, let's be honest. It's function over fashion, isn't it? I mean,
I mean, in some cases.
yeah, it's like you want to look good, but like, how long is this going to take me? How much is this going to cost?
Do you think it takes a long time to do this, Trellis? How long do you think it takes me to do my hair?
Oh, I think it probably takes a minute. Yeah,
1 minute? You mean like a long minute or a short minute?
A good while.
No,
How about
he's doing this and
no.
walking out.
No,
But
I grab wax and I do like this and I put it in my hair and then I kind of just go like that until I'm like, yeah, that looks good. And then I put some hairspray in it.
But he's got to go see his girl.
Right. Well, I have a
that
team
stuff.
of people
Yeah.
that make this happen.
I have a team.
I have a team of people. That make
I look this good, and it's just me.
That's funny.
I think that this show is about over.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hope you had fun. Please leave us a comment. We want to hear from you and let us know what you want us to talk about on the next episode of Nip Talk. See ya. Bye.